Hey guys, it's JJ. Welcome back to the Eagles franchise, where we just won a Super Bowl against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we have now the off-season ahead of us. And we're gonna start with a little season recap, look at some stats, and the next episode I'm gonna jump into free agency. Christian Landry had a massive season. 51 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. We also let him sit for the last game because it was not necessary that he plays in that. And so he just got barely, almost close to 4.5. And yeah, he could have had probably 200 or 300 more yards in that game and got atop the leaderboards there, but yeah. It is what it is. Rushing, we had really good success this season. 4.9 a carry for Kenneth Gainwell, 8 touchdowns. He was really solid, but he didn't break as many tackles as I would have liked. So only like 1 tackle broken per game. And same goes for Matt Upshaw, but he has a little bit more speed, so I think the upside is higher when you get him loose on an outside stretch or something. And but he just only got 3 touchdowns, so they kind of were a nice complementary set of running backs. And then Christian Landry also ran for almost 700 yards. I think it could be more if I tried to focus on that more. We could introduce that a read option every once in a while, but for now I have not seen it as necessary to run with him all that much. And then Chuba Hubbard is a good third back. He also had 5 touchdowns, 404 yards. He also had 4.7 a carry, so I think all of our running backs did really well. Beyond that, we didn't use any other running back all that much. We had way too not enough rushing attempts for somebody like Doug Washington. He should be getting the football a lot more than that. Only 3 jet sweeps have gotten to him. That is not enough. And but he is someone that can break tackles on a regular basis, so that's what I really like about him. And then receiving, we have Devontae Smith missing 4 games this season. He would have had the crown, sure of it. But like that is just gonna be 1,274 yards, 70.9 average per reception, 98 yards per game, 13 touchdowns, and a long reception of 63 yards. This is a really solid stat line. Then Justin Douglas, who played a lot in the wake of Devontae Smith and Mitch Slaughter, and almost got to 1,000 yards in his rookie campaign. 59 receptions, 945, 16 per reception, 9 touchdowns. Fine season. Won't get any credit for it because there were 7 rookie quarterbacks and they were competing for the crown there as Rookie of the Year. But Mitch Slaughter also missed 3 games, would have gotten over 1,000 easily if he had not missed those, but combined with him and Smith, there was 7 games worth of production that went to Justin Douglas instead. So they kind of split the yardage there. And 14 touchdowns for Mitch Slaughter. He's a touchdown machine. He is 6'2", 235, can box out anybody. Dallas Goedert, 611 yards, 4 touchdowns. Kind of not using him enough. I'm just not using tight ends all that much, and I usually, especially in this offense where we go downfield a lot, and Goddard is just more of a dump-off weapon. And then Doug Washington in the slot, it's the same deal with him, 419 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did what he had to do when he got the ball, but he didn't get the ball enough. Matt Upshaw, 281 yards with 5 touchdowns through the air. So that's fun because he had only 3 on the ground. That's 8 touchdowns on the season. I think it was his rookie year. That's fine. Landon Davis, when he got in, he was really good. He caught the balls when he needed to. And he was a nice blocking asset as well. And then Chuba Hubbard had a few catches here and there, but nothing spectacular. And then 4 sacks allowed. This is the big thing. Travis Maynard allowed 10 sacks from the right edge. And this is what we need to work about, because when he was injured, he also missed 4 games. DeAndre Lucas came into the game and he also allowed 6 sacks in 4 games there. So that's not great. He also, he just played right tackle. So he allowed 6 sacks in 4 games, and Travis Maynard. That's not great, but the rest of the line is stellar. 4 sacks allowed by Easton Young, 2 by Sean Keaton, and 2 by Chris Haas. This is what I like to see from my offensive line. Sean Keaton and Cameron Robinson's contract are up this year, and they're gonna get extensions, and big ones at that. And then also, yeah, Cameron Robinson, only 1 sack allowed. Stellar performance by him once again, being the best offensive lineman, just like he was last year. And then Landon Dickerson, who played like a third of the season in the wake of injuries, also didn't allow a sack. I want to re-sign him too. I'm not sure if I actually already did, but we're gonna find that out in the re-signing stage. For the defense, Mike Middleton was flying all over the field, especially the second half of the season. He was really getting at it. He was really getting good, and in the Super Bowl run, yeah, he was tackling left and right, had a lot of TFLs, a couple sacks here and there. Grant Delpit and Taylor Anderson were cleaning up behind him. But yeah, that was kind of due to the lack of run defense we had. Lavonte David was kind of disappointing in run defense. Gotta say that. Fletcher Cox had the most TFLs, that's no surprise. But Von Miller, Jonathan Rivera, Alonzo McFadden, this defensive line got after it against the run and the pass. I gotta say though, more against the pass. They were more effective against the pass. Also in part due to the elite coverage unit we have behind the line. But in the run defense, there were still some holes to be found. We are still having problems against guys like Saquon Barkley or Ezekiel Elliott. Against the pass though, Fletcher Cox, 17.5 sacks, which leads the NFC. We're gonna look at that later, but I already can tell you, this leads the NFC. He won the Super Bowl. This is the point where him and Von Miller could both retire. And if that happens, we lose 29.5 sacks from this season. And then Jonathan Rivera, kind of middling season. He had a great rookie year and then a sophomore slump, but this year he got back up a little bit more, I guess, and had 11.5 sacks. But he had 2 sacks in the Super Bowl, and that was really critical. So really happy with his performance. And then of course, Alonzo McFadden, the rookie defensive tackle, getting 10 sacks as a defensive tackle is great. His run defense, we need to work on that a little bit more. But for now, he looks like a great successor to the great Fletcher Cox. And then a few guys down the list who I may have gotten into the pocket on blitzes, like Mike Middleton, 3.5 sacks. Jalen Gilmore as a slot corner in dime personnel has 2 sacks. He got in there. Josh Sweat as a backup edge rusher, didn't play much, had 2 sacks. But I think we're gonna let him go because he's 28. And then Avonte Maddox as the other slot corner, 1.5 sacks. And Milton Williams also in backup duties, got 1.5 sacks. Probably gonna let him test as well. So we have had a great pass rush this season, and I really am scared that both of those guys retire. If we can keep at least one of them, I already re-signed Fletcher Cox, so maybe he stays, but he might go. And yeah, we'll see. Coverage unit was elite. We didn't have many interceptions though. So that's kind of a weakness. We are not a turnover defense. We are a force them on 3rd and 10 and then sack him. That's our defense. And Taylor Anderson and Chris Madden were having a lot to do with that because Chris Madden got targeted a lot and he knocked a lot of balls away, and Taylor Anderson doesn't get targeted at all. He's so fast that nobody tries to target him. And then Avonte Maddox in the slot. He was kind of up and down, but he also had a pick here. And I really liked his performances overall. And then Coco Washington in garbage time had an interception. And Dante Jackson, who was the weak spot of this secondary. And he has also only 1 interception. And I expect a little bit more from him. when he gets beaten. If somebody gets beaten, I expect turnovers because there's got to be a payoff, and he didn't have that. So might let him go this offseason. And then for forced fumbles, we hit 9 on the season. Fletcher Cox, Jonathan Rivera, and Levante David all had 2 forced fumbles. And that's pretty interesting because I didn't think that Levante David was a great run defender, but he managed to force a couple of fumbles here. And then Von Miller and Alonzo McFadden and Grant Delpit had the other forced fumbles. The interesting part is we had 9 forced fumbles, but we only recovered 3 of them. So that's not really a lot of turnovers either. Turnovers are not our strength, but it's fine because turnovers are also kind of a... Yeah, you gotta get lucky as well. And it's kind of an up and down. It's inconsistent years like following through the years. And for a kicker, we had Jake Elliott miss a few kicks. That's mainly my fault, I guess. And Presley Harvin, he did a nice job. I liked his numbers. And he was able to boot a few inside the 10 and stuff. But he's not great either. So yeah, this is the stats around the league. Justin Herbert leads the league in yards. Patrick Mahomes close behind. And then Kyler Murray at 3rd. Christian Landry could have gotten the 3rd place as well, but I let him sit in that last game. And then rookie quarterback Eric Randolph had almost 4,500 yards as well. 29 touchdowns, 17 picks. So he had a great rookie season. A little bit too many interceptions, but you can tone this down. And then the same goes for Max Gordon. Great rookie season as well. A lot less picks, even more touchdowns. Great season for him. They also got CMC, so why would they throw all the time? And then King Henry, he got to 2,000 again. 5.9 a carry, 21 touchdowns. Nick Chubb, 1,900 yards, 5.7 a carry, 22 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott, 1,698, 5 yards a carry, 16 touchdowns. There's a lot of great running backs in this league, and Joe Mixon, Christian McCaffrey, Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook. There's a lot of feature backs in this game, which is not really all that realistic compared to real life. But we had the split backfield with 2 running backs, and both of them got 900, so yeah. And now for receivers. Devontae Smith would have gotten the crown easily if he had played in those other 4 games, but he didn't. And so Rondale Moore is getting that crown. Christian Kirk had 10 touchdowns. Keenan Allen, Michael Gallup, Jacoby Myers had 15 touchdowns. Darnell Mooney had 12 touchdowns. There's a lot of great receivers in this league. We're gonna see the young guys step it up more in the next year or the next few years, I guess. And then defense, most sacks. Aaron Donald and Fletcher Cox split for top of the NFC, 17.5. Chase Young close behind, 3rd place in the NFC. Khalil Mack, 15.5, still with the Bears here in this universe, and he's still doing great. And then Shaq Barrett, 15 sacks. Micah Parsons, 14 sacks. Let's look at the AFC, because the sack leader this season is Myles Garrett. And he had a half sack more than Fletcher Cox and Aaron Donald. DeForest Buckner had 17 sacks. Ngakoue had 15. Ed Oliver, 14. A lot of defensive talent here in this league. And then for picks, it's not all that interesting. There's nobody with like 8 or 9 picks on the season. There's a lot of guys with like 4 or 5 picks. And in the NFC, it's gonna be Leighton Vander Esch leading the league here. Not just the NFC, he's leading the league with 6 interceptions. Tracy Walker, Bobby Wagner. So this is the thing. You don't have a guy that has like 7 or 8 picks. Linebackers all of a sudden get a chance to win this thing. And in this case, Leighton Vander Esch did. And yeah, let's look at team stats. The Eagles lead the league in offensive yardage, and it is not even close. We lead by 499 yards of offense. If you break that down, that's about 30 yards per game on the Bengals. And yeah, they have a great offense as well. Passing yardage wise, we are not even close to the top because we were in front in so many games so quickly that we just started running all the time, and then we didn't throw it a whole lot. And another factor is that Christian Landry also took away a lot of passing yardage with his legs. And 700 yards is something that if you add that on top, we would have been top 5, but we're not. We are actually middle of the road, like I guess it's like 18th or something. 4,110 yards. We also got sacked 38 times, which is kind of a lot, and that's why we are down there in the middle of the pack. But we lead the league in rushing yardage, and we split it between 3 players mainly, 3.5 if you include Chuba Hubbard's input as well. But we lead the league in rushing, and that's not surprising since we were leading so many games in the 4th quarter. And then you just run it down their throats. That's easy. And the Cowboys also were like top 5. So yeah, that's something we'll always have to be scared of. And then points per game, Eagles and Cowboys lead the league, but it's not even close. The Eagles are so far out in front. They also are so far out in front for passing touchdowns. For rushing touchdowns, we are down the list, man. But this offense was scoring so many touchdowns in the first couple of quarters that we didn't have to score a whole lot of touchdowns in the 3rd and 4th quarter. And that's where we ran the football a lot, and that explains the discrepancy. We could have had a lot more rushing touchdowns if the games were closer. But we lead the league in first downs gained, tied with the Ravens actually. But we are able to move the ball on such a consistent basis that we can almost score at will. For total team defensive yardage, the Eagles are second, 8 yards behind the Panthers, who really had a great defense this year. And we played them as well. They are a really good team, and I hope they're building up to compete even more next year. Passing yardage allowed, we are best in the league, and that is really surprising because if you lead a game by 2 or 3 scores, your opponent has to start throwing it, and we still lead the league in passing yardage allowed. Rushing yardage wise, that's the thing. I know that we're weak at it. We have a good rush defense, but if somebody wants to attack our defense, it's the rush defense you have to attack because our secondary is elite, and you saw that in a Super Bowl. But you can abuse the run defense if you have like a decent enough offensive line. You can abuse that. And then points allowed, the Panthers best defense in the league, the Eagles close behind, 12 points. So these are by far the 2 top teams for defense in this league. And quarterback sacks, oh man, it is not even close. 19 sacks difference to the 2nd best team in the league. Gotta admit though, there's a lot of coverage sacks in there. A lot of them, because our secondary was elite. I gotta tell you, you cannot target any of these cornerbacks except for Dante Jackson because he might screw it up. But apart from Dante Jackson, this pass coverage unit is elite. Fumbles recovered, already said enough about that. Interceptions, we are 2nd worst in the league. So that's only 9 turnovers in 17 games. That's not even a half I guess it's more than a half a turnover per game, but it's not enough. And this is something you need to work on. But we have the best 3rd down offense in the league. And that is in part due to the way that the offense operates with a lot of high upside but safe gains mixed in between. And same goes for the 4th down conversions, 8 of 9. This is kind of ridiculous, 88% 4th down conversions. And then for 2-point conversions, we only tried that once the entire season and we didn't get it. So that's that. But conversions wise, we are really top of the league. And same goes for red zone efficiency. We have the best red zone offense in the league, but our red zone defense could be better. We still have to work on the defensive line, and especially if we lose Fletcher Cox and Von Miller this offseason to retirement, then we're really gonna have a problem. Another problem we're gonna have is the Cowboys next year because they are great at everything they do and they have the best turnover differential in the league, and we are actually stuck at 0, which is middle of the pack, obviously. And you gotta work on that too. We had a few fumbles lost here and there, and we didn't get a lot of the fumbles back that we should have gotten. But overall, I think this is a good defense. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Now let's go over to the status of the team. We have Christian Landry becoming an elite quarterback at 24 years old. He is into the 90s with overall wise, and he's not going anywhere. He was on the money last year. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but I guess we're gonna work on that. Our backup is Howie Flanagan, and all those other quarterbacks are just from the practice squad. And yeah, running game wise, we have Kenneth Gainwell, but his contract is up, and I am not really planning on keeping him. We have Chuba Hubbard and Matt Upshaw, and I like both of them, especially the athleticism on both of them. And if I didn't keep Miles Sanders, I'm certainly not going to keep around Kenneth Gainwell. That's where I stand on that. We also have a couple backup running backs there, also from the practice squad and stuff. But those are the main three guys, and I want to keep around Hubbard and Upshaw, and then maybe find another third running back for the next season. Let's see who there is. Receivers, we have the best receiver in the game here in Devontae Smith with his excellent speed, acceleration, and catching ratings. He is a 98 overall without the morale boost. And then Mitch Slaughter, an above average number 2 and an above average number 3 receiver here in Doug Washington. And nobody's going anywhere. Justin Douglas is a 4, and he's one of the better 4s in the league. And he's not going anywhere either because this was his rookie season. Still 3 more years left on his deal. Tight ends, Dallas Goedert. Yeah. He's good, but I'm not using him enough. So he may be a trade target. Landon Davis, when he's called upon, he does his job. Thaddeus Moss is a nice run blocker. He's also our fullback. And then Nolan Graham, he didn't play a whole lot this season, but it's only been his rookie season, and he has great athleticism. So I think there is something to work on there with Graham. And then Rick Lovato is our long snapper, and he is also not going anywhere unless he retires, of course. For realism's sake, I want to keep them on the team. And then Sean Keaton becoming one of the best tackles in the league. Stellar season. Allowed 2 sacks, if I remember correctly, and Cameron Robinson even only allowed 1 sack. Both of them are going to get extensions next year, and big ones at that. And then our backup guard, Keith Farrell, he looks really promising too. He's not the massive athlete that somebody like Sean Keaton or Cameron Robinson is, but he is a good backup. Easton Young is the center. This was his 2nd season. He also looks great, just like a rookie right guard Chris Haas also looked great. Landon Dickerson as a backup guard didn't allow any sacks, even though he played about 1/3 of the snaps this season. So I'm happy to have him on the team, and I want to keep him there as the 6th offensive lineman, basically. And then for right tackle, we have Travis Maynard, allowed 10 sacks. It's not great, but he has good athleticism, and I think we can get him there with a year worth of development. And then DeAndre Lucas, his backup, who came into the game, I think 3 or 4 games. I'm not sure, but he is a fine backup too. Allowed a little bit too many sacks, but he got bad competition. Von Miller, I hope he sticks around, but he's probably gonna retire, I guess. Dalvin McCall, he might take over for him, or maybe so does Alex Soto. Both of those guys are really interesting pass rushers, kind of a similar skill set, although I gotta say Alex Soto is the better run defender of the both of them. But if Von Miller retires, this is the battle to watch out for. These are the 2 guys that you have to keep your eyes on. Jonathan Rivera, also getting into his 4th year. He's gonna get an extension next year. Solid season, 11.5 sacks, and he's not going anywhere. Opposed to Josh Sweat, who just had his ridiculous contract finished, and he's gonna leave into free agency. He's 28 years old. He's not gonna get any better. And then Bradley Middlebrooks is a very interesting backup edge rusher that I really like, and he's gonna stick around as well. Fletcher Cox, if he retires, we have a new number 1 who can take over, but not without missing a beat. Fletcher Cox is something different. Alonzo McFadden, though, had a great rookie season, and I hope that he's going to continue to develop this nicely in the next year as well. And then Milton Williams' deal is up. I think I'm going to let him test. Clay Riley has been a disappointment since he's been drafted. Probably going to trade or cut him. And then Harvey McNeil is just a backup tackle. So if Fletcher Cox retires, we need to get another defensive tackle in there. Linebackers, we have Tyler Stokes in his getting into his third year now. I think he's a fine run defender. His coverage might need a little work. Mike Middleton, finally becoming the elite middle linebacker prospect that I drafted at number 2 overall. And I think that next year might be his big breakout season. Deacon Chancellor, second-year linebacker. Or actually, he was a rookie this year, but he's going to be a second-year linebacker. And I hope that he's going to develop into a solid number 2 behind Middleton. And then Coco Washington. For now, he's just a backup, but he has some exceptional athleticism that I really like. And then Raekwon McMillan just signed him. So we have a new linebacker in the wake of Deacon Chancellor's injury for the Super Bowl. And then Lavonte David. He is 35, and he's not cutting it anymore. He's going to be gone after this season. Defensive backs. Chris Madden is becoming one of the best corners in the league, and he's showing it week in and week out. Dante Jackson, probably let him go this season, this offseason. Avonte Maddox, still one of the better slot corners you're going to find. Great athleticism, good tackling ability. And yeah, Kevin Bonds and Jalen Gilmore are 2 interesting backups that, one of which might have to step up next season. Or maybe they don't. Maybe we draft a new cornerback or something. I'm not sure. Taylor Anderson. Yeah, they don't target him at all. And he still got 2 picks. It wasn't the same game. But he has elite coverage abilities and is a good tackler. It's just you don't see him a lot on the field because he doesn't make the plays. He's just not getting targeted. And whenever you see him, he's making the tackle when someone at the linebacking level is messing up. And then Grant Delpit is another complimentary safety with good run defense and a nice hit stick that I really like. Chris Matlock is the backup to him. He's going to be in the second year next year. And I think we're set at kicker and punter. Picks. We obviously have the Super Bowl pick. And the 2, the 3, the 4, all our own picks. We don't have a 5, but we have 3 extra 6s, so 4 in total. And I'm planning to use them if I want to move up. And then we also have 2 extra 7s as well. So yeah, we have a lot of picks, but most of them are really late. And I'm gonna be planning on moving up a little bit in this draft class. We need some edge rush help and some cornerbacks. And that's gonna do it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more Eagles franchise. See you in the next episode. Until then, spread some love.